Colleagues, I'm sure I'm not the only one who feels like we've lived a decade since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic. We have lived through so much, so quickly, and so intensely. I'm proud to say that teachers and education support personnel around the world have been absolutely outstanding. Your courage and dedication have inspired all of us. You have supported your students, your families, and communities through this crisis. You have given your all during long days and late nights for months on end. You've been working in front of your computer, on your phone, in your car, anywhere and everywhere, teaching, distributing learning materials, meals, and even Wi-Fi connections to students in need. Some of you had only pen and paper to work with, but you didn't let that stop you. You gave it your all for your students. Right now, some of us are beginning to see the light at the end of the tunnel. In some countries, school buildings are reopening, but in others, new waves of the pandemic are shutting them down again. We've come a long way, but we still have many challenges. We believe that the way to reopen all schools safely and to ensure they stay open is to vaccinate teachers and support staff. But for that to happen, we need to ensure sufficient supplies of the vaccines in all countries. And this is not the case right now. We are not producing enough vaccines to cover global needs. A few high-income countries have taken over most of the global vaccine supply, while the rest of the world is left fighting new waves of the pandemic without these essential tools. In the meantime, new variants of the virus are threatening to send us all back to square one. With your support, Education International has been one of the leading voices against vaccine nationalism and big pharma profiteering off the pandemic. We have tirelessly advocated for a temporary suspension of patents and intellectual property rights on COVID-19 vaccines and medical products at the World Trade Organization. This is the only way to ramp up production of the vaccines and medical products that we need to fight the virus everywhere. And we are committed to making this happen. We have made considerable progress in this fight, and we've helped key governments recognize that when lives are at stake, it cannot be business as usual. But this is no time to stop. We will continue to work alongside our member organizations until every community, every educator, everywhere has access to vaccines, PPE, diagnostics, and the other medical products that they need. Colleagues, the only way we're going to beat COVID-19 is if we stand together and work together. Ending the pandemic will take solidarity at all levels. It will take all of us, and it must be done. Right now, we can't grasp the impact of the educational disruption on students due to the pandemic. Girls and women, students from disadvantaged backgrounds, migrants and refugees, those vulnerable to child labor, they've all been disproportionately affected by the crisis. The latest data on child labor is nothing short of appalling. Global progress against child labor has stalled for the first time in 20 years. 160 million children, almost 1 in every 10 children globally, were in child labor at the beginning of 2020. And the pandemic is likely to push 8.9 million more children down this path and away from classrooms by the end of 2022. In high and low income countries alike, we risk having an entire generation of children forever marked by this crisis. We must not allow this to happen. As schools reopen their doors, we must advocate for equity audits to be conducted at all levels of education to assess the impact of the pandemic on both students and educators and inform effective and equitable recovery. Supporting and empowering educators in the recovery process is imperative. Before the pandemic, the UN reported that the world needed 69 million more teachers to reach Sustainable Development Goal 4 on quality education for all. Emerging findings from our Status of Teachers Report 2021 show that more and more teachers are actually now planning to leave the profession. It's not hard to figure out why. Workloads have surged over the last 3 years, especially during the pandemic. But salaries? Well, they've pretty much stayed the same or decreased. Permanent jobs are being replaced with casual and short-term contracts. Continuous professional development is hard to come by. And during the pandemic, teachers simply had to pick up new skills on their own with little time and support. And this has led to well-being plummeting across the board. Keeping teachers on the job and attracting a new generation to the profession is not going to happen if teaching remains undervalued and underpaid. Things need to change, and we must effect that change. Michelle Bachelet, the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, called this a time of grave setbacks in human rights. She said, extreme poverty, inequalities, and injustice are rising. Democratic and civic space is being eroded. Navigating a clear way out of this complex COVID-19 crisis and towards an inclusive, green, sustainable, and resilient future will be the work of this generation of world leaders, or their downfall. But who are those world leaders? Who is really leading? Well, teachers, education workers, and unions, that's for certain. Education unions have been instrumental in helping educators navigate this storm, providing information, support, training, and representation. In many countries, unions have also helped guide the government response to the crisis in education. The evidence shows that countries where governments have engaged in constant and meaningful social dialogue with unions have fared much better than countries where educators and their unions were not involved. This is no surprise to you. Engagement in democracy is in our DNA. Our work is the moral and ethical current of our communities, and our strongest force is targeted against exclusion and division, disinformation and profiteering. We are the face of progress and the backbone of resistance. And we are still in the middle of the COVID fight, and we won't rest. We are also focused on recovery, on equity, and on the fight for the planet, each of them inseparable in the task of building a sustainable future for everyone. In this mission, we are the leaders, all of us, and I'm truly proud to be working with all of you.